All right, you're live.
What is up, everyone? So, welcome back, Power of Six, Pono Quest. This is my favorite topic by far. Actually, okay, it's a close second is the greatness within peace because that ties everything in together. But without the greatness within peace, this is my favorite one, and it's topic number three. Number three principle: passionate action. What I love so much about this one is there's a reason why it's in the middle. If everything else isn't working for you, if you have nothing on your side, if it's just looking dark, if you just take some form of passionate action, it can wake you back up and reset you into knowing who you are. Like that's what it comes down to. When you know who you are and knowing who you are, knowing you're a creator, knowing you're unshakable is taking an action. Just taking an action somewhere, somehow. It's saved me countless times, and I call it the reset. If everything is going to shit, if I just take one action, I know I stand a chance. And I'm going to share a story with you. When I went through my journey, looking at myself in the mirror and seeing that I was overweight and not liking what I saw, the thought was already there that I was going to change something. The plan, being an effective plan, plans need adjustments. There is no perfect plan. And what gets people in trouble is they overcomplicate plans. They sit down and think about the plan too much. They try and stay on principle number two. They're like, I need an effective plan. An effective plan cannot be created without having some sort of passionate action. Because every super successful person, like every one of them, every 100% has failed or learned something. You can't get it all right on your first try. It just doesn't happen because you have different circumstances, different mindsets, different thoughts, different patterns, different solutions, different levers. Like we look at me, Rick, and Steve, we're built differently. Just that alone is going to make it different. Everyone's game is going to be a different game. And so if I have nothing else, at least I know I can take action. And that's what I stumped, burned my knees over and over and over again as I tried to lose this weight. And I read up on bodybuilders. I would go on bodybuilders.com. I would try and figure out whatever solution I could to get to where I needed to go. I didn't want to live on tuna and broccoli for the rest of my life, but I was willing to do that if that's what it needed to be. And then I started learning more about me. The more passionate action I took, the more I learned about myself on what I could eat and what I couldn't eat, on how much energy I did have when I did a certain thing, and how little energy I may have had when I did different things, on how I felt when I woke up in the morning, on my happiness level, on my enjoyment level. And it was from just acting on it, taking actions. It started with push ups. I just started doing push ups. I started jogging. That's all I knew. I didn't know anything else. I got better and better at it as I went through it. Because the cool thing about taking a passionate action is we have this thing right here that wants to keep us safe no matter what. No matter what. So I say, let's use it as our advantage instead of our disadvantage. You see, when we sit on the sidelines and we don't do the things we need to do, we don't learn the lessons we need to learn. But if we're willing to really go out on a limb, like 100% go out on the limb, you'll adjust because your brain can't help but to figure out how to adjust because it wants to survive. It wants to survive what you're going to put it through. And you're going to put it through some tests because there's something else inside of every one of us. And I'm sure we've all felt it at one time or another, even those who have been beaten out of it, that feeling to act, the feeling to just do with no reason why, with no answers behind it, just to be. Just how a lion is a lion, a gazelle is a gazelle, and a bird's a bird. They fly, gazelles run, and lions hunt. You don't go to a lion and ask, why are you doing what you're doing? They just do. And so when I go through my journey and I coach people, I just need to know who they are because they've spent too much time listening to everybody else with all of their amazing opinions. We all have them. Everybody's got an opinion, just like a butthole. Everyone's got one. And theirs doesn't necessarily represent who you are, what you want, and who you want to become. So my fuck you to everybody, and I love you too, is I'm going to do what I want to do when I want to do it because it's my choice. I get to do that. And if I would have sat back and just listened to like, oh man, well, this opinion is saying this, maybe I should just stay fat. Nah, I'm good. Well, this opinion saying this, maybe I shouldn't fight. I'm good. Well, this opinion saying this, maybe I shouldn't do this over here. I think I'm going to do it. And deep down inside, you know that voice is there. And sometimes you're not listening to it because you're too busy listening to everybody else's voice. Listen to that voice. It's yours. And don't let anyone take it from you. All right, guys. So anyone got any passionate action stories for me?
Dude, you just hit the nail on the head, but I'm going to let Steve roll. What you got, boss? Oh, Coach Muck, you got to get the head. Yeah, you got to turn it on.
There we go. No, I just want to pick your brain a little bit, though, Clifford. When you say passionate action, I look at two versions of that. One that somebody maybe uses some strategies and some thought processes that helps compel them into action, and then some people that are just use willpower and discipline. And you clearly have a lot of willpower and discipline where you don't need to build the passion. You know that as long as I just do it, the passion's going to come. For those people who may lack the discipline and need practice taking that action in order to feel it and live it, what tactics do you have to help build the passion, to help compel them to want to do what they need? Like the lion, I would say they're compelled by hunger, right? They're hungry, so they're going to go do it. So what does the human being need to do, and how should they think to help build not even momentum, but build the thrust to take that action?
Yeah, great question. And what I'll say is the reason I layer the principles the way that I do is if you have no idea on what action you're taking towards or what you're doing, it makes it very complicated. Now, here's what's very, very funny though, because this is where people bullshit themselves, is they want like this perfect drawn out idea. One thing, when I didn't want to be fat anymore, I just started eating less. That's the one thing that I knew. Like, I didn't know, like, well, when I do bench press or I got to work my back and I got to work opposing muscle groups. I didn't know any of that shit. And what people want to do is they want to play this game in their head that says, like, I need all the perfect details. You just need one thing. So all you need is one. So like, all right, well, how do I make more money? Okay, well, figure out what people buy. Well, how do I get healthier? Figure out how to lose weight. Well, how do I make my relationships work? Okay, happy people tend to do happier things, right? They just want to be happy. So figure out what makes people happy. It starts with, we have more information than we've ever had, more than we've ever had. It's almost like the world wants to make sure that we're successful and we get in our own way because we have plenty of systems and structures. And I just finished reading a book, Clockwork by Mike McCowitz. I'm going into this entrepreneurship game and I'm not going into it like a jackass. See, that's what I think people miss on passionate action. Just means like, no, you have a plan. When I got married to my wife, I proposed to her in 3 months, and some people would be like, "Oh, you're crazy." No, I worked my ass off to understand her, fully understand her, and now we've been married for 13 years. And some people would look at it and be like, "Oh man, that's stupid. I can't believe you would." Why? You didn't even ask me any questions. I read tons of books on relationships. I read a ton of books on understanding who I was and how women are. They really are nuts, and it's okay. We love them for it. It's good for us. But I learned as much as I could, and then on top of it, I looked at relationships that worked, relationships that didn't work. Why certain things worked, why certain things didn't work. I asked questions. So even though I'm acting with passion, I'm always adjusting, always adjusting. The effective plan is always learning more and figuring out more and putting it together.
So
but just start with me.
So if this is the first video of you that they've listened to and they hear you say take
Yeah.
action, it might be
Yeah.
really difficult if they've not
Yeah.
watched the other videos and have done the groundwork that will help build that passion.
Absolutely. Yeah. So some people, like my athletes, would probably get passionate action right away. Now, other people would be like, well, what plan do I? One step. One step. All you have to do is one thing different. Man, Cliff, I want to lose some weight. Just do one squat a day. Just start with one squat.
Clifford, you have when you take passionate action, I hear you describing the experience of being a heavy child. You didn't want to be there. Your momentum was moving away from something, yes?
Yeah.
But it's turned into moving towards something now. It's very different than when you first took action. Am I wrong?
No, you're 100% right. So we're either moving backwards or forward. We're either living or we're dying. And some people may find that hard to believe because some people think that we can just stay stagnant and in one spot, like we figured it all out and we put it all together. But just like a lion is hungry, it will be hungry again. It doesn't just go away. It's not like I'm satisfied. I figured it out. I caught my gazelle and I ate it and I'm done and I never have to do it again. No, it's a process and it's an organic process. And so if you can, you made a really good point there, Rick. I look at a car. If a car is going in the wrong direction, if it's in reverse, you don't just pop it into drive and then start driving the other direction. Unless you're really crazy like me, like that's kind of how I went the first time, and I've learned more lessons along the way. I did. I'm a blender. Just how Steve said, he mentioned willpower. I have willpower for days. I think it's a very important thing to have. I feel it can also be dangerous too, because just like Steve also said, there's some people who are not in that process. And so they don't understand that, like, oh man, that's a bit much. Me and Steve have actually talked about David Goggins, and he just boom. Some people need a process, the correct pushing to move towards that. And also, I do value happiness and joy and being able to take a warm shower, like little things like that. You know, you don't have to. You can enjoy the grind, but you can also enjoy the relaxation too. So I talk about having a time to sprint, to jog, to walk, to rest. And what gets people in trouble is too often, respect and love to Dusty and both of you, life is a long, long, long marathon. Very, very long. And when people can understand that, they can appreciate every moment they're taking. They can appreciate the sprint moment the jog moment, the walk moment, and the rest moment. But if you're sprinting thinking like, oh, the finish line's right there, and you're still sprinting, and you're like, if I just sprint enough, and you start getting side aches and you're in pain, and you're just like, oh my God, this sucks. Then it's time to change course and take direction from other people.
I think there was a gold nugget in there somewhere, and well, not just somewhere, but that as you crossed the finish line, and I heard you say this, like you're a sprint runner, you just came across the finish line and you're still running. You never stop to check your course where you're at. But that's passionate action, though. They're still running. That's that passionate action you're talking about. So so how do you put that into check and make it?
Here's what's interesting about passionate action. Our brain wants to keep us safe, right? Our brain wants to keep us safer than we're supposed to be, though. So passionate action to me is any action you're taking. One of my favorite statues is the thinking man. And some people might look at the thinking man and say, well, he's not acting. He's proactively thinking. Yes, that is a passionate action. That is what people miss. So when you're passionately resting, because Steve, you know this just as anyone in your field would, the breakdown and the recovery are just as important. You need to know when to recover. You need to know when to fill your gas tank back up. And you need to know when you have to push into the red a little bit, where you have to go into those darker places a little bit. And no, you will not get it overnight. But what you can do is say, okay, I am one person. And if I have the ability to look and observe and understand and figure out, you are a creator, you are a learner. So if I look at enough people doing enough things and say, okay, what do I want? What do I want right now? Like, that's the passion. What do I want? Then go near those people who already have it. Well, like, it's so simple, it's stupid.
No, it's fascinating though when you start talking about, emulating or mirroring or finding those that you want and being what it is you want to experience in this passion action. You say take action in the direction of what it is you want to experience. That's passionate action, right? So it's like the definitions of Pono. Everybody's got one. Right? What does that mean? And so we're just breaking down the language. What does it mean to take passionate action, Clifford Starr? So you say you can take passionate action resting and recovering and in life. And I want to say what I hear you saying for me is you coming from the deepest place in your heart in alignment with what it is you want to experience in life. Look, this isn't at the expense of another human being. We're talking about expending ourselves, it actually living, being alive, not.
So, Two things. Who are you? Who do you want to be? Who are you? And who do you want to be? I know who I am. And I also know who I want to be. I want to be a consistent grower, a consistent learner. But I want to hold myself to a high expectation too. I want to be the best damn dad that I can be every day I wake up. And I want to be a better dad every day I wake up.
Yeah, me too. That's Pono, right? I mean, it's progress, not perfection. This is the long tail. We take one step at a time, passionately, with what that just happens to be my core value. I mean, if you're top of my list, so it's the number one on my list. It's that passion, and I don't know how to live. I mean, so thank you for shedding light on principle number 3, passionate action, and the power of 6. And there's 6 principles here. We've only touched on number 3 today. You're welcome to. You can find Clifford Stark's Power of 6 inside of Pono Quest. You pay attention. He's He comes from the deepest place in his heart, and he's fearless. We had a conversation here a few minutes ago before we started this, and it was a little tough on me. Because I have to, you got to know who you're dealing with. You got to know the company that you keep. And I keep freaking rock star company, man. I can go to the edge with my friends and get real and talk, because I'm leaning into what we're feeling, to the passion of what it really means, right? I mean, so when you're leaning into that and up against the edge, and you've established trust, and you've got trust with your friends, they're going to point you in the right direction, right? They're going to look to see the highest ideal in you. And that's what Clifford Starks does, right? Amazingly well. This is what makes him an impeccable coach, is because he's not going to let you fall. He's not going to let himself fall. He sees you as him. So if you were to anchor to Mr. Starks, to the power of 6, to his 6 principles, I don't believe you would let them go until they reach that place. And that's quite unique. That's quite unique. I value our friendship. I'm so grateful to be able to be in such wonderful company, because I'm learning and growing with you guys along the way. Thanks for being Pono.
Yeah. No, I mean, I appreciate both of you as we go through the journey, and it's super cool because we all 3 have very different, unique skill sets, and it makes it a lot of fun. Like, I wouldn't be me without Steve asking Steve-like questions. Like, I am like,
questions.
We're gonna go through it. Like, wait a minute, how are we gonna go through it? Like, I don't know. We're just gonna do it. But we need that. And I look back and I say crazy women out of complete love, and some will get triggered and hate me for it, and I'm okay with that. Because they don't know me. Because I love as deeply from my heart as possible. And so when I speak, I speak with positivity. And some people will hear it and some people won't. But women have helped make me who I am, because they think differently than I do, completely differently than I do. And so I talk about passionate action. Like, I was passionate for the clients that I trained, and they helped me become who I am today, because I listened intently and realized, oh my God, they see the world completely differently and want completely different things.
Well, and if you're in a marriage, it's a whole nother world, right? I mean, you're talking about interrelationship with women, period, just in conversation. Yeah. Now, you get married. I've been married 21 years. Steve's been married a little longer than I have. It's a whole nother world, right? I mean, this is, that's another topic.
That is a topic for itself.
Just get off of that one.
All right. Clifford, thank you for sharing Principle 3, passionate action. I hope everybody got something out of it. And if they're having difficulty, they need to go back to the first 2 principles and revisit those and dig deep into that to help develop the passion.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Aloha.